Hi, I'm Alan Carrington, and today I'm going to talk with Dr. Ian Green from the University of Adelaide. Ian and I are colleagues, buddies. We've been exploring digital world for about 10 years together, actually, and Ian is a research educator from the University of Adelaide. His job is to help develop academics in the subject of research, and he's a fellow Apple Distinguished Educator, and he is a pioneer of iPads at the University of Adelaide with me, and it's great to have you here, Ian.
Hi, nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, and I'm looking forward to this particular discussion with you because this is your real field of expertise. And really,
don't set up too many expectations.
Yeah, right. What I really want to talk to you about is this question of how does mobile technology, tablets, and specifically iPads, how does that enhance and empower the researcher to do the job? That's the general open-ended question.
Very open-ended question. I just wonder how many hours, days, weeks, months we have to investigate and illustrate and I guess and debate that point and see what the answer is. But I would think, just trying to take a start at it, I think what we're thinking about here is, and what we're seeing here, the benefits are of having a mobile device, having a personal computing device that can go with you to various places and can exist as sort of part of your research, recording, documenting, whatever, which doesn't take up the same amount of room as a laptop or regular computer. Okay, so something that's sort of integrated into all sorts of other workflows.
Okay, mobile technology and in particular iPads. We're talking about the benefits to the researcher of these devices and this technology. What is the research process? What are the steps the researcher takes? All I know about is data gathering and then publishing the research and so on. Can you just walk us through the process of research and tell me how the iPad can help?
Oh, okay. Well, a very big question, but to try and summarise it, the research process varies a bit according to the particular kind of discipline you're in, whether in a science type discipline or a more humanities type discipline, I suppose. But in summary, basically what you're doing within a particular field is you're looking at identifying some kind of issue that you're interested in researching, and your identification of that will depend on what's already written up in the available literature and research. So you're going to identify a topic, you're going to do some research on literature on it, you're going to perhaps refine that topic a little bit, you're going to come to understand and make some projections about the type of methodology you're going to use to pursue that topic. You're going to go and gather some data or do some further reading or make things and experiment with them, you know, a whole range of things you could do there. And then essentially you're going to do some kind of analysis, sometimes make some recommendations or come to some higher level conclusions, and write the whole thing up, publish it. And of course you're doing this within a particular sort of framework or set of theories that determine
what I'd like you to speak to is just how you would use an iPad to do that process, and what would be some of the empowerment it would have.
Well, I guess there are a few key things that really provide for innovation, empowerment in terms of using an iPad. One is that you've got a very mobile device which is strongly integrated into your workflow, in that you can, wherever you are, you can record things, take notes on things, you can look up information and kind of download that, and you can kind of, you're there with this kind of mobile kind of work centre, information exchange, recording, development and stuff there, and it becomes part of your workflow and becomes part of your other sort of, life, if you like. It's not so intrusive as having a laptop computer. You don't need to go and sit down at a desk or whatever. You've got this thing there. But of course one of the benefits here, of course, is not just the exchange of information from what you're documenting to what you're researching, but it's also the ability to collaborate on the fly with other people.
Yeah, we noticed that when we ran our iPad seminars back in 2009.
Well, back in the very beginnings of it, really. Yeah.
Was the fact that the students and the academics were truly, the iPad became an extension of who they were on campus. Yeah. And they carried them around, so the mobility was there. I also remember the major aha for me as a teacher was the sound and note coordination of such apps as what we called was Audio Note, maybe was it
Audio Note, Pair Note was one.
Pair Note, yeah. They're coming out all the time, but that was really a huge thing that you could record. So I would imagine that that's helpful in research.
Well, in a number of ways in research, yeah. I mean, it's helpful in the sense of if you're in one of those fields where you're collecting live audio-video type information or doing live observations where you need to record audio, well, here you have this integrated data book, if you like, which just makes going through your notes and getting your data later on much easier. And of course, also in another situation, this is very, very helpful in those collaborative research meetings that you have, be they meetings with people in person or virtual meetings, to have your iPad actually recording the discussion and writing down notes.
That would be something like Explain Everything, isn't that? Is that what you're talking about? When you're trying to explain to me research information so that we can cross between iPads, is that?
Well, things like Explain Everything will do it, yeah. I think I'm still thinking more of the Audio Note, Pair Note type of thing, where you're just having a group sort of brainstorming discussion and you're recording it all.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, that sort of thing is also facilitated by the sort of the mind mapping or brainstorming sorts of apps that you have on iPads, of which there are hundreds, thousands probably at the moment.
That was last week.
Yeah, and many, many good ones. Yeah, so to be able to collaborate with people in real time over, if you like, a shared virtual whiteboard,
yes,
but one which you've kind of got in your hands, and in the process of sitting around and talking with people, you can see what they've written on there, you can edit that, you can put your own things on there. So we've got this, we've got a sense, well, we're not thinking of enhanced collaboration, we're thinking that this sort of technological device added into these kind of situations is actually giving us better, well, hopefully giving us better results.
Better results,
Enabling us to do things and retrieve things we couldn't do before.
In Australia, you're on the edge of that sort of stuff. You have been for a long time. Are you seeing that changes in the researchers, the people doing the stuff? I would hope.
I think we are seeing changes. I think it's like a lot of these things, it's very, very, very patchy.
Yeah.
You see some disciplines and some fields of endeavour which are generally more advanced than others, but also even within that there's tremendous variation from one researcher to another.
Yes.
So things are happening, but you know, as has been said before, things are happening, it's just not very evenly distributed.
Yes. Yeah, that's a general way of saying it. Project management, I would imagine that all the project tools and apps that are now available on iPads would be wonderful to help a researcher organise all the bits and pieces of it and put it together.
Again, and like mind mapping, there's a large range of project management tools that are available. In respect of both project management generally, it's fantastic to have a range of these devices, a range of these software or apps, we call them, a range of these apps that are available to sort of academics, because it really, again, we're really talking about a situation where your project management then becomes something that's embedded in your daily kind of workflow. It's something you can catch up on from minute to minute. You're sitting on a bus, in a taxi, you're at an airport, you've got 10 minutes before a meeting starts, you can get your iPad out and you can have a look at where you're up to with your project management. So it's something you've got constant access to. And again, I suppose another issue to bear in mind is that since the days when you and I were first talking to academic staff about you know, how to turn their iPads on and you know, get them oriented the right way, we've come a long way since then. But one of the major things, of course, has been the improved integration between mobile devices and
Yeah,
the
that's-
web, general web.
the web.
So we have a range of web apps, and we have a range of cloud sharing services. So most of your good project management apps, they run on your iPad, your iPhone. They'll run on the web, on a normal browser, and you can access them anywhere, and your whole team can access them anywhere.
What impact is the iPad and mobile technology in general having on the presentation of research? I mean, I can remember the challenge of even putting images in theses. Is that still resisted, or is it more open now to? Are you at the point where you would, or not you personally, the supervisors, are they in a mindset these days to accept multimedia type results?
Well, across the whole sector, the answer is probably yes. But again, it's a patchy sort of thing, and it depends on the discipline. You get some disciplines that are very resistant to these sorts of things, and you get a range of disciplines in which not quite intelligent and quite good points are put forward about the verbal nature of the discipline as opposed to the multimedia nature of the discipline. So there's interesting things happening. There is always some Luddite drag that's around the place, and there's some interesting intelligent discussion happening. But generally one would have to say the move towards multimedia is well on the way. It's it's an advance that won't be stopped.
Yeah.
Things are going to change, and in addition to multimedia, the capacity to have, for example, dynamic chart graph representations of data and things that you're talking about is just phenomenally improved.
Yeah.
It's phenomenally improved because generally the web every year does things much better in that respect, and our data transmission capability gets much better, and our cloud services and information exchange gets much better generally. But again, having devices like the iPad, which have reasonably large real estate, where you can read complex charts and things, having them available to hand almost on the side rather than having to sit in front of the computer, again, gives you quite some massive benefits.
Do you see any downside? I mean, there's no dumbing down of the research, is there? I mean, happening? Or is it? You can't blame the technology, I guess, for that.
In a word, no. There have been various things said over the last few years about the general effect, the kind of the Google effect on the brain and on the nature of learning, and that we're into superficial and
Wikipedia
and shallow learning. Yeah, we're into kind of bite-sized, superficial chunks of things. And whatever the merits of those arguments might be in terms of the general population, I suppose, or maybe the school sector, at the at the higher research level, we're not seeing that effect. At the higher research level, we're seeing great advantages in digital technologies that I think most people would agree are enabling us to see many patterns of things and to put together complex arrays of information into interpretable, understandable representations. These things are happening now that haven't happened before.
Now we're going to put this into the blog and the podcast episode as we've done for years. I would think, I haven't looked myself at great length, but I would assume there would be some reasonably good literature out there. We still call it literature. That's interesting in itself. Out there that would help the training or the budding researcher master the iPad and get all the benefits out of there. Do you think, have you got any, I'm not asking you to tell me now, but can we put some of those in the blog? Is there, have you got any come to mind?
We will find some useful references.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I mean, an interesting thing is that there's probably not as many articles out there, whether they're academic articles or popular articles, there's probably not as many out there as you might imagine there should be.
It sounds like it's a PhD waiting to happen, is that what
probably
you're saying?
several PhDs waiting to happen, or a popular book that will go viral. Well, you and I should write it, I suppose.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. But
let's do that after
some of the people that are
podcast.
listening to the podcast would be very capable of doing that. I hope.
Yeah, and there are some very good things out there, but you probably haven't seen any book which is kind of generally about using the iPod in developing
iPad
research. The iPad.
There's a flashback.
It shows my age. Using the iPad in.
We started on them.
Yeah, there's no kind of major famous kind of book that you buy at an airport.
Most interesting.
It's a very good book.
I've been talking to Dr. Ian Green, who is a research educator at the University of Adelaide. Thank you, Ian, for your time. We might wrap it up just there. Get it into the podcast. Get the podcast into the blog, and you can provide some more resources if you would, please. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Al.